Ever since Optimus Prime took off into the far reaches of space to fight what will be labeled as the Creators, we've all been wondering if the next installment will consist of mostly cybertronians, or will they share the silver screen with annoying humans. For all we know, the story may just focus its attention away from the Transformers and stay confined to Earth. But anyways, this list will include Transformers that haven't been used in the movies and excludes ones we've already seen, because at this point it's a given that we'll see Bumblebee and Optimus Prime, since they're the flagship players in the franchise and most kids and casual fans won't even know anyone other than that. With all the pointless name slapping on random robots, it's hard for me to even tell who's who in the Transformers movies. But anyways, let's just go ahead and get back with the video. First on the list is Lieutenant Prowl, the military-prone strategist and goody two-shoes. Prowl's been added to the list because he's proved to be one of the most versatile in any incarnation of the Transformers franchise you've read or watched. He performs well under a lot of pressure, and he is currently one of the few Transformers who can combine with other Transformers such as Devastator or Optimus Maximus. In most of his iterations, he transforms into a sporty police car, and his helmet design gives off the traditional Japanese shogun look. He's featured in the IDW comics based off the live-action continuity, so if he's added to the roster, fans already have a little bit of backstory at their leisure. Out of all versions of Prowl, I really hope they use the 2009's animated version. That iteration really plays off his Shogun look, and I love how subtle he is. He performs a martial art called Circuit Suit and wields the ability to throw Ninja Starlight projectiles, and he can also make holograms of himself to confuse his enemy. Next up is the Decepticon Motormaster, who just so happens to be the second combiner on this list. When he and fellow Stunticons unite, they form Minosaur, the giant robot who can prove to be the most powerful, but his lack of group cohesion hinders his performance. Motormaster is like the aggressive and irrational Transformer Optimus Prime never could be. He's a semi-truck that can transform into the entire vehicle, including the tractor trailer, unlike Optimus. He can create cyclones that produce winds up to 400 miles per hour, and he wields a pretty cool sword that emits electricity. I'm adding this Decepticon to the list because his awesomeness is so underrated. Making the 8th spot on my list is the Autobot Hotshot, and this choice was pretty much based off of the nostalgia factor, because unbeknownst to many of my fans, Transformers Armada and the Unicron trilogy in general happens to be one of my favorites. I really love those versions of his young, hot-headed goat for the gusto attitude. There's not that much to say regarding his abilities other than the fact that he can power link with the Minicons. During the Transformers Energon series, he could combine with Inferno after he was granted the combination spark. But in the 2009 animated series, he does use 2 dual flamethrowers that makes him worthy of his name, Hotshot. Next up is Skywarp and Thundercracker, the 2 twin fighter jets who are part of the now deceased Starscream Seeker unit. This would be the perfect time for them to make their live action debut, because we were really lacking threats from the sky in Age of Extinction. It's also the best time for them to throw a going away party for their Sky Commander, considering the fact that they despise the hell out of him. Now, I'm not saying that we need to have both in the cinematic universe, but it would be cool to see one or the other. If I could choose, I would have to go with Thundercracker because of his complexity as a character. Unlike the other Decepticons, he doesn't really see the point in killing the humans, but don't get it twisted, he's not afraid to bust an Autobot cap or two. Hitting the list at number 5 is Blur, the Autobots' #1 speed star. This guy has been my most requested Transformers, considering the fact that I haven't really seen that many iterations of him in the animated shows besides the G1 series and Armada, just to name a few. In some variations, he's the sharpshooting trickster who provides comic relief, and in others he's the more enigmatic figure who loves to work alone. Since there have been a ton of Autobots who have had that more serious tone in the Bay films, I wouldn't mind seeing him have that hyperactive comical personality of his G1 counterpart. Changing things up on the list, we have Blitzwing, one of the most popular triple changers in the Transformers franchise and one of the most threatening to the Autobots and that of the Decepticons. What makes him stand out from the rest of his Decepticon comrades is his multiple personalities, which prove to be his benefits as well as his weaknesses. On one hand, he can be hot-headed and somewhat arrogant, and on another, he can be cold and intellectual, and sometimes he can just be batshit insane and unstable. In most of his incarnations, he wields the ability to change into a battle tank and a fighter jet. Each one of his 3 personalities allows him to perform various assaults, such as his ice missiles, which is useful during his cold persona, his red hot lasers to coincide with his hot tempered nature, preferably in the tank mode, and his crazy explosives to mimic his crazy persona. Coming in at number 3 on my list is Ultra Magnus. Originally Optimus Prime's brother if you follow the Japanese introduction, and he's also the head commander of the Wreckers division. I added him to the list because it would be cool to see another huge but nimble heavy hitter besides Optimus Prime, who's just as noble and fearless. In most of the Transformers lore, he can turn into a carrier truck that transports an entire fleet of Autobots. He's also just as big as Optimus, if not bigger if you compare the size difference in the original G1 comics. Now, he's not as confident as Optimus, but he can get the job done when needed, and he's very handy when it comes to long-range shooting. Taking the number 2 spot is the planet-consuming robot who has no alliance, Unicron. Now, I know I'm reaching with this one, but we really need to see this guy in the movie to raise the stakes. If you know anything about the Transformers lore, you know how much of a hard hitter the robot can be, and he demands to be the center of attention in the Transformers series he's in. Unicron always reminded me of Apocalypse from the X-Men or Galactus from the Fantastic Four series. He can either take matters into his own hands, or he can either employ lesser Transformers, preferably Decepticons, by granting them new powers to do his bidding. Unicron is the epitome of chaos, and he can assume his position as a giant planet that can explore various universes, or he can turn into the planet-busting robot who loves to mutilate his enemies before he consumes them. The number 1 robot that I feel we must see in this movie is Nemesis Prime. And I know a lot of you are probably saying that the market is probably already oversaturated with giant 18-wheeler robots or whatnot, but considering the fact that the main promotional poster for the film, now entitled The Last Night, features a face that seems to be Optimus with menacing purple eyes, why not let it be Nemesis Prime? Now, whenever I see the color purple, I instantly associate it with either the Decepticons or Dark Energon, which I don't really think we've gotten an introduction to in the live-action films. Maybe this could be the creators or the quintessence counterattack for Optimus, considering the fact that he did say he was coming for them in the Age of Extinction. Who knows? But that's all I have for you guys today. What are your top picks for Transformers 5 The Last Night? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to like or dislike the video and subscribe to stay informed on more Transformers videos. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.